Let's jump right into this. Picture this scenario. An analyst spends weeks, literally weeks, developing a truly excellent idea. We're talking a massive process improvement that could save their organization a ton of time and money. So they walk into the main meeting room, pull up their presentation, and pitch it with absolute confidence. They are fully expecting the entire room to just immediately nod in agreement and greenlight the project right then and there. But the result? Total awkward silence. I mean, absolute crickets. Zero support. You can practically visualize this little thought bubble popping up over our frustrated analyst's head, filled with a giant question mark as they think to themselves, but it's obviously a good idea. It's an incredibly relatable and, honestly, incredibly frustrating workplace failure. We've all been there, right? Standing at the front of a room wondering why the brilliant data we just shared completely flatlined. So this brings us to a really fascinating mystery. If an idea is objectively good but absolutely nobody supports it, what exactly is missing? Well, the answer isn't that the idea needs more data, and it definitely isn't that it needs a flashier slideshow. The answer is that our analyst is missing the essential tool needed to navigate workplace dynamics. They need influence. Let's break this down into 5 key ideas. Number 1, influence is earned. Credibility and trust develop over time. To actually get things done in any organization, you need influence. But here's the kicker. A job title alone simply doesn't guarantee that influence. Relying on a manager or director badge for authority is kind of a weak short-term strategy that usually ends up backfiring. True credibility, that's earned, not just handed to you by an org chart. Imagine a visual trust meter hovering above your head, slowly filling up day by day. We all know that one junior employee who everyone listens to intently in big meetings, right? Even without a senior title. Why? Because their trust meter is completely full. They consistently provide reliable analysis, they step in as a true team player when things get tough, and they bring really useful ideas to the table without demanding all the credit. That undeniable track record of solid, consistent performance is literally the foundation of your influence. You can't build a house without a solid foundation, and you sure can't build influence without trust. Moving on to number 2, take the initiative. Don't wait for someone to ask you to contribute. Okay, so once you've established that bedrock foundation of trust, you can't just sit back at your desk and wait for someone to specifically ask for your input. If nobody initiates anything, well, nothing happens. Applying your influence means actively taking responsibility for the bigger picture. Let's look at a practical workplace example. Say an employee spots a recurring bottleneck in a daily workflow. Instead of just rolling their eyes and complaining about it in the break room, they actually investigate the root cause on their own and bring a proposed solution to their manager. Here's the secret. Even if that specific idea is turned down or needs a lot of reworking, the simple act of taking the initiative creates this powerful positive cycle. It proves you aren't just clocking in to do your narrow job. You're actively trying to improve the whole organization. People notice that energy for sure, and they naturally want to follow it. That brings us to number 3. Understand what's in it for them. People support ideas for their reasons, not yours. When you finally do bring that brilliant, proactive idea forward, you absolutely must understand what's in it for your audience. Empathy is hands down your strongest tool here, because people support ideas for their reasons, not for yours. The technical features of a product aren't the same as the ultimate value it delivers. Think about a core idea, let's say a new software process. Notice how the value branches out entirely differently for everyone involved. To upper management, that same software idea translates simply to efficiency and cost savings. To your fellow frontline employees, it translates to less repetitive work and fewer headaches. And to the end customers, it means faster service. It's the exact same underlying idea, but viewed through entirely different lenses depending on a stakeholder's self-interest. If you only pitch the idea from your own perspective, you're going to miss the mark for almost everyone else in the room. Number 4, adapt your message. Different people respond to different arguments and communication styles. Because people inherently value different things, understanding what they care about is really only half the battle. Communicating it effectively means actually speaking the specific language of your receiver. Different people respond to drastically different arguments. Think about the code switching required in a typical day. If you're pitching your idea to a finance executive, your communication shouldn't be bogged down with operational jargon. You need to highlight the financial benefits and raw cost savings. That's their language. But if you walk into the next room to speak with an operations manager, you completely flip the script. You drop the financial metrics and focus entirely on the operational impact and workflow improvements. You tailor the pitch to the person sitting right in front of you. And doing this doesn't mean you're being inauthentic. It means you're being an effective communicator who actually wants their ideas to be understood. And finally, number 5, build support before the big moment. Influence happens before the formal meeting. We often mistakenly think of influence as this one dramatic, high-stakes pitch in a glossy boardroom, like something straight out of a movie. But in reality, getting an idea approved is usually a quiet, step-by-step campaign that happens long before the formal meeting even starts. Before presenting a controversial proposal, take the critical time to speak individually with key stakeholders. When they raise objections, and trust me, they will, don't get defensive. Think of objections like catching a ball. By actively catching their feedback, you understand their deep-seated concerns, you improve the idea with their input, and you build crucial early alliances. People are just so much more likely to support an idea they helped shape. By the time the formal meeting finally happens, the decision is essentially already made because you laid the groundwork perfectly behind the scenes. Let's look at the resolution, the successful second attempt. So let's bring this full circle back to the analysts from our opening story who faced that painfully silent room. This time, they don't just walk in blindly expecting their brilliance to speak for itself. They follow the proven path. The analyst takes the time to map the stakeholders to see exactly who cares about what. They adapt their message flawlessly. They build early alliances by having those crucial one-on-one chats and catching those objection balls in the hallway. When they finally stand up to present this time, the room isn't silent. They've built sturdy bridges of support, people are nodding before the pitch is even finished, and the idea is enthusiastically approved. This brilliantly illustrates what we can call the influence equation. You take your hard-earned credibility, add your proactive initiative, multiply that by a deep understanding of their needs. Deliver it all through an adapted message, and support it with pre-built relationships. All of these variables combine to point to one undeniable result: influence. It's a formula that just works consistently across any industry or role. Now, the concepts we've broken down in this explainer today are drawn directly from the fantastic framework of 12 universal skills. It's a powerful reminder that gaining support without having formal authority isn't about office politics or sneaky manipulation. It's rooted entirely in mastering these universal soft skills. These are skills that absolutely anyone can learn, practice, and apply to take full control of their career. I want to leave you with this final perspective-shifting thought. The next time someone rejects your brilliant idea, don't just sit back in frustration and ask, why don't they understand? Instead, ask, what matters to them?